All right, we are here on the Wren roof. We have got our estate Oak Ridge shingle. It is ITEL certified. We've got a wind damage shingle here on the back slope, one of the many that are covered. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The general state of this roof is pretty bad. I mean, we've got tabs connected, even on these down here that we're not even working on. You know, all these tabs have been kind of disconnected from the age of this roof here. We've got a lot of granule loss. Sometimes they seal too well and tear. On this one, it seems like, oh, they're not sealing at all, and we have a full delamination of the shingle. Now, we are gonna replace this one here. It is wind damaged, but this is just kind of just a general understanding of what's going on this roof. I mean, it's clearly irreparable, right? So we're gonna go ahead and continue on for diligence, doing our best to get all of the pieces of this now aggregate shingle out of here. Make sure that we do not damage any of the roof around the shingle further than it already is. And while we're unsealing this here, you can see the same things kind of happening up here. We're getting small delaminations. Okay, so we're gonna get under here, and we're never gonna use our thumb to hold the shingle, right? Because it puts all the pressure in one spot. We wanna use our fingers fanned out so that way we don't get tears in the shingle. Even though it's falling apart, we're still gonna do this repair in good faith. All right, I'm just gonna kind of shimmy that out. We don't need this guy for right now. And then we'll just kind of check what's going on here. Okay, so there are some nails underneath this half of the shingle. So we are gonna have to do a little bit of nail removal. Okay, here's one right here. Let's take a look. That looks about right. That looks to be in code. So we're gonna now separate the shingle up here. And again, these tabs, you know, this is a tool specifically made for separating shingles. It's much thinner than a finger, and it's much stronger than a lot of these tools that'll bend and break. So, you know, this is about as good as it gets, and the shingle's just falling apart from barely being touched, just barely coming across the sealant line, and the granules are just raining down on us. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna do our best. I mean, this roof is just falling apart, but we're gonna do our best to get these nails out, just like we would if the shingle wasn't falling apart, because we don't want to have any aggregate material left in the roof, pieces of things, broken parts. So this nail's super duper rusty, and it was up in there. So that's indicative that, you know, obviously you're getting leaks down here, but to have rust way up here, the water didn't go that far. So, you know, this system is compromised as a whole for you to have rusty nails all the way up under the shingle like that. Actually, we may not need to pull that one out. Looks like we have one fastener left somewhere up in here. Let's take a look under there. It looks like it might actually be on this shingle on the outside. We'll see if that's it here. Again, we've got a very rusty nail. Whoop, about to drop it. Very rusty nail. And that, you know, indicative that this system's failing as a whole. Like we still have one more fastener. Again, we're gonna be, you know, we're gonna use good faith here and still try to remove this the best we can to not create more leaks and more damage. All right, we have got our shingle out. You know, you can see a little bit of matte transfer, these matte areas on there where it's a little bit less shiny. You know, that's the shingles they've fused together on that sealant line over time due to change in temperature from day to day, season to season. So we've got our new shingle. I'm gonna grab that from down here. It's very hot. There we go. Now, before we get rid of that old shingle, I just want to kind of compare what we can compare. So So I'm gonna line up the length, and we're a 1/4 inch off on the new shingle. So basically what's gonna happen is, you know, the roof's falling apart, but if it wasn't, this isn't gonna seal correctly because it's gonna be on top of the shingle next to it. It's a little bit too long. Checking the exposure is gonna be almost, well, no, it's not too bad. So exposure's about right on there. That's not really the biggest of our concerns here today though. We're gonna slide these shingles down in the valley. And straight away, we have a very, very obvious color disparity. So this shingle here has got some blue grays, some dark grays, very, very, very small amount of browns, probably less than 10%. This is mostly a blue, cold shingle, very, very blue gray. Not a lot of black at all. The only black you're seeing on this shingle is the tiny little pieces of mat that are showing through. To whereas on our roof here, you can clearly see, you know, this is more of a white. It's really a much lighter color, like a white gray as opposed to this blue gray. So we're like different color spectrums here. And then also, just due to the massive granule loss, there's so much black on this old roof that it's just not gonna match. So the diligence, we're gonna go ahead and continue on. We're gonna try to get this slid up in here. Let me see if this roof is a 2-layer roof. No, we have felt visible in there, so, and again, you got rusty nails right there. We're gonna move on for diligence. We don't wanna leave a hole in the roof, and tarping is just gonna make it worse. Go ahead and just put a shingle in here. All right, so now we're experiencing that, and you can see I'm trying to lift this up so that I can clear the shingle. And if you look down the row, barely any manipulation. The width of a human hand is lifting these tabs off the surrounding shingle. I mean, the roof is, it's so bad that it's not even a safe walking surface. So we've got it in here now. Looks like we might actually have an exposure issue because maybe the old shingle had moved a little bit. That'll be okay, as long as we clear that sealant line. We're gonna go ahead and nail this guy in. There's a lot of talk about this portion of the repair. This is really the least of our worries today, but it is the most spoken about part, so we are going to address it. Per the manufacturer installation guidelines, we are going to lift the shingle as high as we need to, and we must need to get the nail in flush. So when I go to, we're gonna start in the middle just so you can kind of see. We'll start here so you can see really good. So when I get in here, I'm gonna fan my fingers out, we're spreading the leverage out. This nail has got to go in the roof straight. It cannot go in at an angle, it must go straight, is what holds the roof together. So we can't lift the shingle this high and then pretend like that nail is gonna clear that sealant line. You can see that sealant line in there, and you can see with the straight hammer how far it's going in. Trying to drive the nail like this is absolutely unacceptable and out of code. Per manufacturer installation guidelines, the shingle must be lifted as high as you need to drive the nail flush above that sealant line, just like that. Now, these shingles are very brittle, but again, that's not our worst concern. We've got a combination of brittleness, loss of pliability, which is an object's ability to bend without breaking, full delamination of the shingles, the color disparity, and that length disparity. And as we're hitting the roof here, you can hear the granules raining down. Literally sounds like rain. And then this one bubbling up here, creasing, cracking, completely coming off that tab. We've got to get a nail. This is a different shingle. We've got to get a nail over here. So, you know, as high as we can to get that nail flush. All right, we're gonna move on to the bottom row now. That was 5 in the top row, which gets us in code. Oh, I think we can fix that guy. Yeah, perfect. You know, these things they're sticking up like a mohawk, you know, like some messy hair. You want those shingles to lay down flat immediately, you know, like this shingle. You can manipulate this 100 times. You can brush this all day long. Not a single granule's coming out. we both know better than to try to do that here. We'll lose all the granules. So you want to see this wiggliness like a noodle, this malleability. You can brush it all you want. If you can't treat the shingle that way, then the roof's not repairable. And now I could be wrong. These shingles are completely incompatible. So if you take a look here, I didn't even realize that till this moment. We don't have a sealant line. The shingle doesn't have a sealant line on the top. The old shingle sealant line is on the top. So these, even if this roof was in perfect shape, it wouldn't seal due to incompatible sealant lines. We're gonna drive our last couple nails, but we very obviously failed this multiple times over. One more nail. All right. So we have reached the end of our repair. We have a massive disparity in color. We have a disparity in length. We do not cut shingles in an open field. You can cut them if you're gonna seal them against a knee wall, against a chimney, against a pipe. In an open field, you do not seal shingles and you do not cut them. Color disparity, length disparity, all of the tabs are separating on this roof. Just the weight of my finger, the roof's falling apart. We also have the incompatible sealant lines in here. And then just, in general, good faith. This roof is clearly not repairable now, and the roof system is leaking as a whole, It's very obvious to anyone involved in this that this roof should not be repaired and should be replaced as a whole due to all of those failing factors. Thank you guys so much.